Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a list video on my current relic priorities, or what they would be if I wasn't working on the Jedi Knight Luke event requirements. So recently I just released a methods video on what constitutes a good relic. So what we're looking here in this list are the relics that I want for Grand Arena based on that. But as a free-to-play player, getting those relic characters can take a long time and be difficult. So I want to show you what I've been working on in the meantime. Throughout that methods video, I was alluding to really considering whether or not the relic is helping, and also considering the timing of those relics. So really quickly before we get into the list, what I want to talk about is consider the bounty hunters or first order, for instance. A basic bounty hunter team of just Bosk, Boba Fett, Dengar, maybe Django or not, and Zam or Cad Bane or whoever, just your basic older bounty hunters. Adding a relic bounty hunter to that makes it no more likely to win against JTR on defense with or without the relic. But adding Karga to that mix or adding Mando to that mix, JTR suddenly can start losing that matchup. And similarly, you take the First Order. JTR can handle a First Order team. No problem. You add a relic crew to that First Order team, JTR is still going to handle it. But you add Sith Trooper or Hux to that First Order team, and suddenly that team starts loses. So the majority of my Kairos that I've been accumulating for months have been going towards these new characters, because these new characters have powerful kits. I have a bias in this game towards really developing new releases as soon as possible. One is because there's power creep going on in this game. Even a Gear 11 character can do a lot of damage as long as you're not in the top tiers of Division 1. On top of that, these teams don't have go-to counters yet. People haven't figured out how to handle them. They might approach them in the ways that they have 1,000 times before and get tripped up because they're not anticipating what these new characters are going to do to those teams. So taking these characters, working on these types of squads doesn't affect your top 80 GP, so you can really deepen your roster and make your roster a lot more dangerous without affecting what your matchups would be. So here's a for instance. This is the roster of my upcoming Grand Arena opponent. He's got the same amount of relics as I do. We both have 18. But let me sort here by gear tier, because on first glance, it doesn't look that bad. It looks like he has a pretty solid roster, but then once you inspect it a little bit more closely, you see that his Grievous is only relic 4. He only has Darth Revan. He doesn't have other Sith Empire. He doesn't have gas. He doesn't have clones reliced up. He basically has a Galactic Republic team. He has a little bit of a JKR team. And then what he has are the Jedi Knight Luke requirements. That event, we don't know when it's coming back, even though it looks like it's going to be happening in the next week or two because of the lull in the schedule. But I would have held off on relicking up Lando, Rolo, Cholo. Those characters, they're not going to be contributing in a Grand Arena matchup. And until you definitively know when an event is going to return, I would be holding off. It also looks like he was working on the Galactic Legend Rey before Jedi Knight Luke was announced, and then he changed directions. And I think that was the right decision. I'm not throwing shade at this guy. He has made the right calls with how to construct his roster. He doesn't have really any wasted relics here. And he didn't have gas. He didn't have the Galactic Legends. And instead of chasing old metas, he got himself ready for when Jedi Knight Luke is going to come back. And he's going to be doing well in Arena, or decently well in Arena, as soon as that happens, because he's ready for a really high tier character. I just would have timed it a little bit differently so that he doesn't get matched up against somebody like me in the month before, because that could be 8 to 10 Zetas he loses out on by going up against opponents that his roster is not ready for. So now we transition into the list of characters I would be prioritizing for Grand Arena. Right now, some of these are going to surprise you that I don't already have, but I'm a free-to-play player, and we're going to be we're approaching things as strategically as possible because of those limited resources. So first up is Malak and Nest. These are the characters who can solo another squad. These are go-to really important characters for Grand Arena that you should be getting ready as soon as possible, and it's a surprise that I don't have them already, especially when I'm so close on Malak. But again, those I can't afford to give those materials to Malak right now. Like, Malak can take out a Shock T team. Like, he can take out a ton of teams on his own. I would love to have him. High Relic Nest can take out some of those lesser Padme teams that I see frequently in Grand Arena. And when it comes to those Padme teams, what I'm really looking for is I need a little bit more depth to deal with like some of those tier A squads that you see on defense that sometimes if there's like a mistake or I trip up, I might not be able to it might mess up my entire Grand Arena where I have to take another top tier squad to deal with a Padme or some other similar squad that I wasn't expecting to mess up on offense, and it messes up my entire strategy with that kind of cascading effect. And to have like an ace in the hole with Nest would really help out. The next pair we're showing together because they are the revives, and they're tanky revive characters that make a squad super troublesome. Daka I want, and I just love the Night Sisters because of how they have been relevant from the release of Talzin to this day, where you never really grow out of Night Sisters being a headache. And I really want to make my Night Sisters more of a headache. And Jolie's obvious, I need a good Grievous counter. Like, I don't want to have to rely on Gas or Darth Revan. I keep trying to use my Jedi Knight Revan, and a lot of you have seen in some recent Grand Arena videos where that team has messed up for me because I don't have a Relic Jolee. I only have a Relic Grandmaster Yoda, and that's really not enough to reliably take out those Grievous teams. This next trio are the characters who can one-shot. Like, again, with Night Sister Spirit, that's all about making that Night Sister team even more difficult. Night Sister Spirit can be devastating, and with that Foresight can be hard to take out, especially with the zombie taunting right there. Droideka I especially want for 3v3. Droideka can be devastating in 3v3, can go with a bunch of different leaders, either droid leaders, with Newt, with Grievous. I've put Droideka with Old Ben in an evasion team in 3v3. Droideka can do a ton of damage, and especially when you have smaller squads. I was having a ton of trouble against Droideka when I would come across, and I want to be able to do that to my opponents. And Spy's obvious. Like, I need to be able to take out the Acklay. I'm fine right now for Watch Shards, but the Spy has a way of messing up a even decent Treyas and what my opponents would be going up against. I just want to have Spy for that spoiler effect, and also for fleets. Like, my Malevolence is being less reliable. I need to get my Malevolence a little stronger. So I really like the Resistance heroes. They've made, on offense, they do a ton of damage, and I feel like Poe, even at Gear 11, has been doing a lot of work for me. I want to just push that even more and see if I can get away with only having one relic on that Resistance team that I'm using and be good with it. Because right now, he's a little fragile. I want to make him a little stronger and keep getting those assists from him that he gets from Finn and do some big pops. Sith Trooper is already doing a ton of damage, and with him, it's all about the assists. He's constantly assisting. He does a ton of damage already at Gear 11. Gear 12, I'm going to be getting him to really soon as that Jedi Knight Luke event happens. And when he's constantly assisting, he's going to be constantly punishing your opponent, and is going to make a lot of counters a lot more difficult. And at some relics, he can start countering Geos and can be used against Grievous, and has a lot more flexibility and can be a serious damage dealer that I want to have on my squad. For my most wanted relic, we have Django. I want Django badly. I would have Django right now if my priorities weren't elsewhere, and Django will be the first relic I do after I unlock Jedi Knight Luke. He does a ton of damage. That assist can be devastating, and with Mon Mothma being released, Django can be a very effective counter against most Mon Mothma teams. It looks like at the high end, the reliced out Mon Mothma teams can still handle Django, but most people aren't going to have that, and I don't expect to be seeing that for a long time. Django is a huge damage dealer that I want to be having as my go-to Mon Mothma counter. Or to just keep, as I do on defense right now, with Newt, and just make that Newt team ever more problematic. So here's where I currently stand with Jedi Knight Luke. I just brought up Wampa 2 relics this weekend. Everybody's at Gear 11 except for Rolo, who needs an absolutely insane amount of Carbantes. Like, currently I have 2 Carbantes saved up. She needs 9. Like, with all the other characters, I need 800 Carbantes in order to qualify for the Jedi Knight Luke event. And right now I have 200 Carbantes, and it looks like it might be close depending on when the event happens. If you look at the calendar right now, it looks like there are some light spots in the next 2 weeks. So I'm expecting to hear that we're going to have Jedi Knight Luke announced, his return announced real soon. It's already been 60 days, and it would make sense for him to come back. So I'm throwing everything I can to see if I can get him unlocked. I do have a lot of crystals saved up, so I can use those crystals to clean out the margins if I have to, and if I'm not close enough by that point and I can't farm by the end of the event. We're going to wrap it up there. Those are the characters I would be relicking if I didn't have that other priority. But those what would be my Grand Arena priorities for relics. So be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other. This has been Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. You kidding me?